What's good, Southeast Michigan podcast? Welcome into another episode of the show. We are doing our second ever and second in one season of an instant post game reaction show. We did one after the MSU one, rightfully so, right? We had some big hoopla afterwards. We did a kind of a commute to work edition a couple days ago, leading up to this Indiana game. And with 10 seconds and counting down, Indiana is kneeling the ball here to improve to 10-0 for first time ever in program history. This game was, for a Michigan fan, going into like low confidence that they were going to win. There was a very thin layer, very thin sliver of optimism because of the way the offense kind of started to move the ball the last couple of weeks. Obviously, wasn't enough to beat number one Oregon, but this game, the first half, offense on the first drive did okay. Found Coastal 11 a few times, then fell radio silent. The play calling again showed its ineptitude, and the defense was out of position, seemingly not know where they're at, lining up on the field. That goes on for the offense as well. Second half comes out, Michigan gets the ball, and all of a sudden, things are starting to kind of click. A little bit more efficiency on the ground, not a lot, but we're able to move the ball through the air a little bit, kind of like the MSU game. And this kind of played out like the MSU game, just in a loss. And throughout it, I'm, of course, shitting on Kirk Campbell and Luke Martindale. Kirk Campbell, the predictability is so irritating because it's the same thing week to week, right? I gave him a little smidge of praise for the MSU victory because of the bag of tricks that were pulled out to win that one. The Oregon game, they ran a few of it, a few plays, but run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. And we know that this offense hits its peak when they're running a two-party system here, a two-quarterback system, which is Davis Warren and Alex Orji. That is hands down the most effective formula for this team. Davis Warren kind of by himself earlier in the season, disaster. Alex Orji was thought to be the best option at the time because he didn't turn the ball over, but it's because he couldn't throw the ball to anybody, even in the other team. Then Jack Tuttle gets an opportunity, looks pretty bad after giving a spark at Washington. Now we're back to Plan A. Well, Option A, Trial A. And just like the last 3 years, Orji or it's McCarthy coming in for Cade McNamara. There's just always been that extra dude that comes in to take the handoffs and the read options, right? And we have a habit as fans to praise it when it works, hate it when it doesn't. This is a game where it didn't work. Now, as it kind of gets into a little Monday morning quarterbacking here, but you have to be picky and know when to dial it up at the right time. My problem in 2021, and I've said this before, was Cade McNamara gets in a rhythm. You get down near the 30-yard line, and then J.J. McCarthy comes in. And at that point, J.J. McCarthy had the green light to either pass or throw, or pass or run. And Alex Orji really has the green light to just run. And he either has option A is hand the ball off, or option B, run the ball himself. Very streaky in his decisions when he runs because Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, most of the times, more times than not, it doesn't work. So yeah, this game did not work. And the irritating part was when Davis Warren was in rhythm, they put Alex Orji in there and basically kill 2 downs and then have to settle for a field goal. That's the most irritating part of all of this. So again, the first half, the same nonsense that we've been seeing. The defense and offense, as I alluded to a second ago, players are out there looking at each other. There's confusion everywhere. A lot of times they don't get set. Um, the third quarter, it felt like a completely different defense. But the final couple drives for Indiana, things started to loosen back up, and the corners are playing way off on coverage, and that just is bread and butter for teams like Indiana, who are just going to slant and drag route you, and by the time you come up and make the tackle, they either got 7 or 8 yards, and majority of the time that's going to lead to a first down, moving the sticks. I had tweeted in the first half I was grilling Jair Hill and Zeke Berry, and then they kind of made me eat my words. They started to play a little bit better, like I said, in the third quarter, and then at the end of the day, it turns out to just go right back to where we were at. Jair Hill, um, his nickname is Sugar. I mean, on Twitter, I should say just name him Cement Shoes. Flat-footed, he got beat on a stop and go, and I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and be Charles Woodson. I played football too, but I'm not obviously playing for an historic program D1. But when you're at this level, when you're gonna catch the light in the dark from fans and stuff like that. But you know he has shown in very little time throughout the season that he can uh, lock it down. Most of the time, he cannot. The other one is Zeke Berry, and his struggles this year have been really on just tackling in open space and angles. And again, just playing way too soft. Playing way too soft. And I get there's trying to maybe disguise coverage, switch it up, mix things around, but when it's over and over again, you're playing that far off guys and just letting them get the ball. It's just not good. Um, Michigan had many opportunities in this ball game to put the kill shot in, or not a kill shot, but to respond. Um, they kind of got away with an offensive pass interference on that last drive. Uh, Davis Warren faded back, they're showing highlights right now. Payne O'Leary, dives for the first down, little short there. But yeah, the defense got bailed out there on those 2 wide receiver drops. Elijah Sherratt, I believe it was. He had one over his shoulder, drops it, has one in the corner of the end zone, and kind of like Colson Lovell last week, doesn't complete the catch. But the kill shot for Indiana was that punt return there to put them over the 40-yard line into Michigan territory. But yeah, Michigan had its opportunities. They settled for field goals. The egregious coaching, and I said it. I want to say on the last episode on the commute to work, and I want to say it after the MSU game. We get it. Attrition. Starters went to the pros. Um, starters graduated, but this team right now still has NFL scouts drooling over these dudes on some of these guys because they want them in the first round. They're going to be second round guys, third round guys, even fourth round guys. Some their draft stock has fallen. That I wouldn't be surprised they don't get drafted, like Makari Page. But you have talent on this team. There's absolutely no excuse to see the glaring coaching issues, not necessarily the players. I give that whole third quarter I give the credit like 95-5 to the players, not the coaches. Will Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Jayshon Barham, like those guys played their ass off that half. The secondary came alive a little bit, and I give them props for that, for a little grit and a sense of pride there. This team is now sitting at 5-5. Will Johnson, we haven't seen him since the Washington game. Uh, Rumor is it's right the business decision. Why risk it? Um, a wannabe inside source Twitter Michigan fan said something about per source Will Johnson plans to at least try to suit up for Ohio State. I'm not going to even worry about that. This offensive coordinator Kurt Campbell needs to go. Absolutely egregious play calling. And then same thing with Wink Martindale. We've seen that after the Washington game. We had that bye week off, and then you just come out, put up 7 points versus Illinois, and an Illinois team that beat Purdue 1-8 now. Purdue, after getting demolished by Ohio State, 1-8 Purdue, almost 600 yards offense and 49 points, and our Michigan Wolverines can only muster up 7, and uh, what 175, barely 200. So yeah, not much else to really break down that we already don't know, but I'm giving my thoughts, of course, right? And we knew after the Illinois game that really the only winnable game was potentially Northwestern. They somehow pulled out the Michigan State one, which, I mean, you can wipe the brow on that one, but yeah, uh, who who else do we got? I'm so lost for words here. So we are going into a bye week before Northwestern and Ohio State. So we got 2 games left, right? We're sitting 5-5, 2 games to go. Are you gonna win 6 to go to a bowl game? Who's even gonna play in that bowl game? I figured some of these guys are gonna still try to play. They've lasted this long, and I think at this point, if like Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, decided to sit out, it might look to some like kind of the optics wouldn't be that great. But man, I'm just at a loss for words. Leave Kirk Campbell in Bloomington. And the question is if I mean, I'm not completely sold on getting rid of Sharon Moore, right? He was the offensive coordinator for quite some time here, offensive line coach that has been a strength beforehand. Um, so I'm not completely sold on getting rid of him. You have to weigh out the pros and cons. That set us even farther back. Uh, I think that Kirk Campbell, if unless he puts up 100 on Ohio State himself, there should be no reason why he's the Michigan offensive coordinator next season. Makes me wonder, what Mike Hart's doing right now. I want to say I asked Isaiah Hole on his mailbag over the summer, has anyone heard of Mike Hart? How's he doing health wise? Is he okay? Generally curious, like, how's Mike Hart doing? Does he plan on coaching again, whether it's in Ann Arbor or elsewhere? Would he go back to Indiana? I don't know. And, basically didn't get really kind of like we don't know. But I think I want to say at least his health, he's okay. But yeah, who would you bring in? Have to be someone proven. There's no. It should be like hiring a head coach. It has to hit. You'd have to get somebody who's got a track record and innovative. Um, have to find a defensive coordinator to replace Wink Martindale, and either side of the ball, I think you'd have to go. I think you have to consider both who's in the NCAA and who's in the NFL, to bring up. Um, and it's something to be to note of the Los Angeles Chargers right now in the NFL have the number 1 scoring defense, and across the board in the top 5, top 10 in a lot of categories because of Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh. So, I know the Chargers probably, if you go toe to toe with like strength of schedule, I mean, I'm sure they haven't. You could probably play devil's advocate and be like, well, they played like the Giants in week 3 or whatever. I don't know if they did. I'm just saying, for example. But stats are stats. That's what they're doing. But kudos to Indiana here. 10-0 for the first time ever in program history. The most that school's ever won in football is 9 games. I want to bring this up to you so you guys are watching. Me and some of the boys are in our fantasy football chat. We're texting. We're like, you know what? When's the last time Indiana and Illinois have beat Michigan in the same season? One of our Ohio State friends asked that question, not maliciously. I love you, Dave, but I was kind of curious that myself. So if you're looking on the screen right now, I got Winsipedia up. Okay, so Michigan leads the all-time series versus Indiana. Let me refresh it actually because now it's going to be. I haven't updated it yet. I don't know how often Wikipedia gets updated, but of course we have 52-7 win last year in Ann Arbor. So 62-10 all time. Michigan's on a 3-game winning streak. So the last time Indiana beat Michigan was 2020, the COVID year, one of the worst Michigan teams ever fielded. Before that was 1987, so 2 years before I was born. Before 1987 was 1967, then 1959, 1958, 1954, and 1945. I mean, only 10 times in the entire history between these two teams. Okay? So before 2020, it was 1987 and then the Vietnam War. Come over here to Illinois. Michigan owns this series 72-2-24. Obviously losing that one 21-7 in Champaign. So before this season, Michigan lost to Illinois in 09 and 08, so the first two Rich Rod years. Before that was 1999, 1993. They tied in 92 and 85. They lost in 1983, 1966, 1958, and 57. So the 50s were a rough time for Michigan football, and hence the whole rejuvenating that Bo Schembechler did when he walked in the door. So 1958 right there. Michigan lost to Illinois 21-8 in Ann Arbor. And if you scroll down here, remember Indiana beat Michigan in 1958 as well, 8-6. So Ann Arbor seen some grumpers. And it's interesting too right here. I'm just now noticing too before they alternated where they played because back then it was the Big 8 and the Little 2, or the Big 2 and the Little 8. Excuse me, I reversed that. So I mean from 1935 all the way to 1958, they played in Ann Arbor. So home field advantage for sure. They didn't play every single year. They had a few off years, but you know what I'm saying. So Indiana making some history. Let's look at the final box score. And, um, you know, so I still got. Oh, actually, you know what? Shoot, I forgot to put that up on the screen. I actually apologize for that. So if I said that, hey, look on the screen, you didn't see anything. That's my goof. But if you hear it, trust me, believe me, I'm not lying to you. All right. Anyways, let's for at least this, I'll turn the screen on for you. There we go. Much better. Okay, so 20-15 loss. Davis Warren 16-32, 137, 4.3 average. Donovan Edwards 15-46. That is 3.1 per carry. 8 yards was his longest. Khalil Mullings 10 for 30 and a tutty. And the 6 yards was his longest carry. Benjamin Hall 4 for 9. Alex Orgy 3 for 1. Davis Warren was sacked, so he's got minus 17. So a team total of 69 yards rushing. The team had 4 sacks. Jayshon Barham, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. TJ Guy had 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. I want to say on the one drive alone is when TJ Guy got both those sacks. I could be wrong. I think it's when they had Indiana pinned deep back. Cameron Brandt got on the box score for one. Um, Indiana actually, I want to say Indiana probably had a handful, maybe a dozen pressures on Warren, but no sacks. Um, let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Dominic Zavada, 3 for 3, 56 was his longest field goal. So, Tommy Doman's having kind of an okay year, but um, Dominic Zavada is picking up where Jake Moody and James Turner left off. That is for sure. So, Indiana is second place in the Big Ten, right? Haven't lost a single game. They are still in the hunt for Indianapolis. Um, they got Ohio State next week in Columbus. The time for that game is to be determined. That is going to be an interesting one. They were, 10.5 favorites versus Michigan here. They didn't cover, but it'll be interesting to see what the line is for Ohio State. And then they face off with rival Purdue at the end of the year. So even if they lose that game, let's go. Let's see. Look at the standings here. Let's look at the Big Ten. All right, so Oregon obviously 6-0, conference wise. Indiana 7-0. Ohio State's 5-1. Penn State's 4-1. Iowa's 4-3. So you could essentially eliminate anyone from Iowa down not making it. Okay, no one's making it down here. Purdue. I thought Purdue and Indiana might be. Now I'm gonna say Purdue was gonna be 10-0, but I thought Purdue was gonna be a lot better. Turns out they're trash. I thought Indiana was gonna go 3-9, not win a single conference game. Boy, in my predictions that I whiff on them. I did not see this at all. I thought there'd be no way Curtis Rourke from Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats, would come in here and lead the Big Ten in passing touchdowns. Never seen that. I don't think anyone did. So Oregon has got to play. Um, they're right now live versus Maryland. That game right now is 3-0 Maryland actually in the first quarter. So I guess keep an eye on that one. You got on the road at Wisconsin and Washington. The Washington game might be interesting just because they are familiar foes. Washington, or excuse me, Camp Randall is not Penn State hard to play at, but it's going to be obviously a road game. So Oregon's not out of the woods yet, but I would think they go undefeated. So I think the team that's going to likely face the Ducks in Indianapolis is going to be next week, Indiana and Ohio State. So, unless Michigan can somehow pull off a freaking miracle on November 30th, I think Ohio State and Oregon are going to be rematching if they take down Indiana. Um, so we'll see. Indiana, the problem for them is they really haven't played anybody until they face Michigan, right? FIU 31-7, Western Illinois 77-3, UCLA 42-13, Charlotte 52-14, Maryland 42-28. That was really the closest game on paper. Maryland uh, only had 7 points going into halftime. They scored 14 in the third, 7 in the fourth quarter. So that game probably was looking more like, 35-14. They beat Northwestern 41-24. They beat Nebraska 56-7. They beat Washington 31-17. They beat Michigan State 47-10. So, man, I tell you what, I will be rooting for Indiana next week, obviously, because they're facing Ohio State, but just because it's a good story. It's a really good story. Um, so yeah, that's about it really that I have here on the Michigan Indiana game. We'll probably preview Michigan versus Northwestern here sometime after this week. I don't know. I say a lot, but it's just hard to. Is my life is very unpredictable this year, not like years before where last year I was able to do an episode when I wanted. But we will definitely preview Northwestern. We'll talk about more games. This is real quick. I wanted to pull this up too. So I said Michigan finished with 69 total rushing yards, right? So I got the screen up still. This was tweeted by Brock Hellig on X. I think he works for Rivals. Um, he put up this box score of Michigan rushing, and the caption was "Smash." That's the catchphrase that Sharon Moore likes to use. And at this point in time, Donovan Edwards was 5 for 12. Ben Hall was 3 for 9. Mullings was 1 for 6. Orgy was 2 for 1, and that was when Warren still had his sacks for 2 of 17. So I thought that was funny, and so again, they didn't finish much farther than that. I want to say it is very interesting on how far this team has fallen off the cliff for rushing the ball. Let me before we actually move, and we're gonna move on from this game technically, but let's see. Let's look at college reference real quick because I want to see. Michigan in the beginning of the year was able to somewhat run the ball. Use that old identity. Uh, it has gone south really, really fast. Um, let's look at these game logs. Okay, so we still got this thing up on the screen. Look at look at this rushing attack. So first game of the year, right? Fresno State, and this is as a team, 148. Texas, 80. Arkansas State, 301. Southern Cal, 290. Obviously, Southern Cal, they are who we thought they were, right? They're not gonna treat bully ball very well. I mean, Michigan basically retired one of their players in the transfer portal after this game. Minnesota 155, Washington 174. So decent. Minnesota and Washington decent. Then Illinois 114, Michigan State 119, and Oregon 105. And that's going to now drop to 69. So you had 4.4 per carry, 3.5, 6.8, 6.3, 3.6, 4.7, 3.0, 3.8, 3.8. That's not Michigan football. That's not Michigan football. Again, if somehow Kirk Campbell lasts the rest of the season, I'm going to be shocked. If he somehow retains his job for 2025, I'm going to be blown away. Absolutely blown away. My question is, does Sherrone Moore have the balls to make the hard decisions in terms of staff? I don't know if he's got the balls for decisions in terms of who's calling the plays and what the identity is. Um, it doesn't make any sense to me that these two coordinators should be here. Doesn't make any sense to me. Um, again, if you've been following me on the socials, Michigan hockey and Michigan basketball look to be some bright spots this winter. So if anything's going to keep me out of a submissive state this cold, chilly Southeast Michigan weather this year, it's going to be these two sports. Before we go, um, oh here real quick too. I want to show this up. I forgot I have this graphic here. This was posted by Chris Vanini on Twitter. He took a screenshot of this Army drive. They're playing North Texas tonight. I think they won like 14 to -1 or something. I don't know. 21 plays and 94 yards. almost 13 minutes and 54 seconds on that drive alone. That is absolutely crazy. That's absolutely crazy. They had one passing play for 7 yards. They ran the ball 20 times for 97 yards, 7 first downs, one penalty accepted for 10 yards. That's that to me was pretty freaking hilarious. Um, Hold on, I just closed out of ESPN when I didn't want to. Anyways, Michigan hoops. We in uh, the car ride or commute to work ride episode, we talked about where is it at? We talked about Michigan basketball going 1-0 under Dusty May. So next Friday, I'll actually be going to the game when they host TCU. Let's see here, Michigan Friday. No, when was it? They played on Tuesday, right? No, no. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Uh, shoot, when the heck was this? Oh my God. Oh, no! God damn it. Doesn't matter. I'm not. I'm about to throw this computer through the TV screen. Anyways, Michigan plays tomorrow. I can't even remember who it was because I was trying to pull up the scores. Obviously, that's not working. My laptop's connection is about as horrible as the Michigan run game. So, anyways, they're doing pretty well. Jeff and I are going to be at the TCU game, anyways, next Friday, and then we have tickets for the Purdue Michigan State game. So, basketball has a lot of potential there. And if you missed that commute to work episode with that victory, I know it was against Cleveland State, third in the Big Ten standings, a sixth or seventh seed in the national tournament. I think that would be a great uh, in terms of successful season for this program, given the complete overhaul that Dusty May has had to do. He's also landed a commit today, 5-star point guard Trey McKinney. I believe he's from St. Mary's in Michigan. So that was a huge pickup. So recruiting is doing well. They got Justin Pippen, Scottie Pippen's younger son, on the team this year. He was a 4-star wing. So I don't know if they'll have a huge role or impact this season, but it was a nice commitment to see there. They got a couple other guys in that class that were highly rated, and over the Cleveland State win, I want to say 6 guys were in double figures. So yeah, lots to look forward to there. Now, in returns of hockey, they took down Boston. So again, I mentioned this in the commute to work episode as well. They took down number 5 Boston on the road last weekend in a dominating fashion game, and then in overtime, and then in last night's um, game versus Notre Dame. They're hosting number 20 Notre Dame this weekend. They took them down 2-1 in overtime, and they are up 2-1 right now in the first period. So again, if Michigan hockey and basketball survive, I'll survive. So, anyways, that's going to do it for this episode. I appreciate all the support. Um, links in the description box below. Oh, Notre Dame was scored again. Um, links in the description box below for the social media accounts. Rate the show if you don't mind. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. I still want to do more things with the show, but like I said, it's just been a crazy fall. But thank you guys for tuning in. Go Blue forever, and hopefully they can pull out these last 2 games somehow, some way. Peace. What's up, Southeast Michigan Podcast? When our community wins with us, we want to ensure you've maximized your ROI. Line shopping for the best odds matters, and that is why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry wide. Using our link, signupexpert.com/southeast, you can get access to all sports books in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique features. Most importantly, this page automatically connects you to the top promotions at each book, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. If you want to take advantage of these benefits, like Fanatic Sportsbook right now, bet and get up to $1,000 in bonus bets, then please consider signing up for the next book at signupexpert.com/southeast.